It's the final day of the 4-day fiesta that is the York Ebor meeting on the Knavesmire, and last up, it's the big race of the week, the Ebor itself. I'm Tom Bull, and I'm joined by Jack Keene and Callum Jamieson of Sun Racing, and Chad Yeomans of Betway to discuss what is arguably the best day's racing of the entire week. First up, it is the big race of the week, the Ebor. King's Advice, the hardiest horse in training, heads the market here. He's won more times than I can even think of since he's been starting this season for Mark Johnson, having come from Germany. He takes on a fantastically competitive field, including the likes of Withhold, Raheen House, Baghdad, Ben Vraki, Wells Fargo, Red Verdon, Weekender. The list goes on. Jack, I'm going to come to you first. What's your big fancy in one of the most competitive races of the entire year?
Well, you're spot on. It is as competitive as it gets. It's the first time the Ebor's been worth £1 million, and just year on year the quality of this race just goes up and up and up, and it's a fantastic renewal this year. Personally, I'm quite keen on Raheen House. He is a rock solid group horse. This is actually his handicap debut. He hasn't run outside of group company since April 2017, I think. So I think switching to a handicap could be a good move for him, especially a big field, strong gallop. He likes to come off the pace. He's had 2 lovely prep runs this year. That should have him cherry ripe for this. He's obviously now with William Haggis. That's a good switch of yard. And I think he's just a lovely horse. James Dawes a great jockey booking. So for me, I'm leaning towards Raheen House. But like you say, King's Advice is in there with Hold. It's a brilliant, brilliant race.
Oh, it's a cracker. Raheen House, of course, beat the great Enable in his younger days.
Did indeed.
Indeed. Callum, on to you, my friend.
It's basically now just a group race these days, isn't it? I think it's £9 between top weight and bottom weights. There's not much point looking at it from a what you think sort of well-in basis these days. Saying that, the one I like is a bit more likely race, only a 4-year-old Mekong for Michael Stout, Ryan Moore riding again. It was mentioned to me sort of a week ago, and I thought, hang on, no, he's far too quirky for a race like this. But he's been running in small fields. I think this is just perfect for him. Big field, he's drawn well. He's not going to have to think about anything. He's going to be off his feet from start to end. I think this is perfect for him now. He's got form behind DXB, Falconet. I think he's got a good chance here.
And last but definitely not least, Chad.
I mean, I think we've all spoken, we've all said it's a very competitive. It's a handicapping only by name now. It is a group race. I think we've alluded to that. A few I like at big prices. Prince of Arran, 3rd in the Melbourne Cup for Charlie Fellows. Tries his heart out every time he runs, and I think that'll be the same sort of result. And also Raymond Tusk for the Richard Hannon yard. Very much a group horse. I'd say he was Group 2 class.
Yeah.
They thought he was good enough to run in the Eclipse as a 3-year-old, and that tells you how highly they rate him.
Indeed.
But there are so many with chances. Mustajeer ran very well in it last year. Ben Vraki probably might come up a bit short, but I think he'll still go close. And again, Withhold, who just keeps finding ways to win off long layoffs.
I mean, the list does go on.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, Charlie Fellows has been in fantastic form this year, so I can see why you fancy Prince of Arran, particularly as he goes. Seems to go well in these very valuable races. Yeah. One for me that I like is Red Galileo. Kieran Fallon, I'm a huge fan of this jockey. He's got a massive future ahead of him, just like his father. He takes off £5 of this horse. This horse didn't run a great race in the Northumberland Plate last time out, but I think he didn't really suited by the weather that day. He'd previously won very impressively at Newmarket on the turf. And now with Kieran Fallon's £5 claim, he's actually £1 lower from that victory. So I think at really quite a large price, he's definitely worth a little tipple each way, possibly.
I think we have got to give King's Advice a real shout here, because he is an absolute winning machine, isn't he?
He is.
The only time he's been beaten for Mark Johnson was when he was given a shocking ride in the Northumberland Plate, when he was miles too far back and stayed on well in the straight. So you just don't know when the improvement's going to stop for this horse. He just keeps finding and finding and finding. He's got quite a wide draw here, but if he's not in there pitching at the end, then that is me on.
Moving on to selection time, Callum, go straight to you.
Mekong is my main one, but also a little mention for Mark Johnson's, one of his other runners, Baghdad.
Great. Jack?
Raheen House for me, bully lads.
Lovely. And Chad?
Prince of Arran and Raymond Tusk each way.
Both lovely prices. I'm going to go with a similarly large price in Red Galileo, who I think looks very nicely handicapped. On to the City of York Stakes now, a Group 2 over 7 furlongs, where Lawrence, having won the Pre-Rothschild last time, bouncing back to her very best, takes on quite a competitive field here. Sedancelot, the Lennox winner, Kate Byron going back to 7 furlongs, Ektidar with a wind operation, Speaking Colours, Libravido and Shine So Bright for Andrew Boarding are just a few of the runners taking her on. Chad, I'll come straight to you. What are your thoughts on this?
Lawrence is probably the only Group 1 proven horse. I think we'd all agree on that. In theory, she should win this. I think that's fair, it's fair to say. Kate Byron won the Wokingham to land a big gamble. I think was out of his depth in the July Cup next time. He's back up to 7 furlongs, but I still don't think he'll have to improve again to beat to beat Lawrence, and on song Lawrence. Lebravido flatters to deceive in my opinion. He always runs on at the end of his races, making you think you should back him next time out, and it's
can't have him at
no.
all. He just keeps getting backed,
Yeah.
and he doesn't find anything.
No,
He's nowhere near like he used to be when he was running the French races as a 3-year-old.
Did he win the jersey?
Jersey.
He did, didn't he? Yeah, for Andre Fabre, was it?
Yeah.
Went to Aidan O'Brien and somehow managed to go backwards, I guess.
I think he had an injury for Andre Fabre, and they've just never really been able to
quite
get him
got him
back.
Right.
Yeah.
He'll crop up and win something when no
He
one
does
backs him.
tend to kind of stay on when it's all too late, and then you kind of think to yourself, well, next time if he gets put in a better position.
It's one of these things when horses get an injury, they often don't put themselves through the pain barrier anymore.
Yeah.
He looks like that to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Not really putting it all in.
Absolutely bang on.
I do think 7 furlongs is his best trip though. He's run over a mile this season, ran over 6 furlongs. I do think 7's is his trip, but I still think he'll have to go some to beat a Group 1 horse in Lawrence. Betway's ambassador Andrew Balding runs Shine So Bright, won the free handicap and then finished 5th in the Guineas or 6th in the Guineas, ran exceptionally well behind Magna Grecia in the middle group when obviously the first 3 came down the near side. He'll come on for the run. Andrew said that. He said he'll come on for the run, but he's fitting well. So if he runs to that Guineas form, he should be bang there.
Yeah, I quite fancied him until you said that. So
I think he will come on. Just being out.
Yeah, it'll be some ask to win this off such a long break.
Absolutely,
such good horses. Jack, come to you next.
Obviously we've touched on Lawrence. She's a brilliant horse. My concern is she's 0 from 3 against the boys. She's obviously much more potent against her own sex, so I wouldn't be backing her at short prices for all. She's a wonderful filly. Kate Byron obviously was very impressive in the Wokingham. He's just as effective over 7, but I do feel like he's a better horse at Ascot, a bit like Chris Lotion earlier in the week. I feel like Ascot's his track, so I wouldn't be backing him. Speaking colours, I know you're quite keen on this one, Callum, so I'll let you do most of the talking, but he was an eye-catcher in the Lennox, and I think he'll be my fancy in this race.
Yeah, as Jack said, I think it's a 2-horse race, to be honest. I think Lawrence is the obvious one, but there's doubts about whether 7 furlongs, she's quite got enough boot for that. I think she'll obviously try and nick this from the front. If she gets an easy time of things out there, she's definitely the one to beat. But I think it could set up really well for Speaking Colours, who I actually he's got a massive chance. He's probably one of my best bets for Saturday. I think it went under the radar how unlucky he actually was at Goodwood. He got chopped first quite early on, about a furlong out, and then as he came again he met trouble, and he still stuck on for a pretty creditable 4th. Can't have Kate Byron or Lebravido, as we've said. I mean, the ground at Goodwood as well went against him that first day, that horrible weather. He's the quicker the ground, the better, and every day it's getting quicker and quicker there. I'm really quite keen on him, and I think he'll go very close there.
Great stuff. I have to say, I'm rather in agreement. I think it's between the two of them. I think Kate Byron's renaissance, if you will, came over 6 furlongs, and it seemed to really suit him being dropped back to that trip. And back over 7, I think he's vulnerable once again, particularly at this grade. But I do agree with you. I think Speaker Colours was very unlucky.
He's needed that step up in trip for a while now, and I think this is going to be able to take him to that next
Absolutely.
level.
He's still got untapped potential, isn't he? He's only had 1 start, I think, over 7 furlongs. So
first time out last time. Yeah.
Very, very quick mention for Ektidar, first run after a wind-up. He's been off since April, but I think keep an eye on him in the betting.
One of Callum's favourites.
Yeah.
He did win the Group 1 Commonwealth Cup last year.
He did.
He did indeed.
Hasn't done anything since, but obviously still a bit of untapped potential there.
Yeah, and the fact they're keeping going with him suggests that all is not lost.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Moving on to the Celebration Mile at Goodwood. I think we'll all agree this is one of the best races of the entire day. Beat Le Bon, Duke of Hazard, Happy Power, and a smattering of others. Looks like a really nice racing prospect. Jack, come to you first. Thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a real top quality race. It's very trappy though. There's not much between the first 4 or 5 in the betting. For me, I'm quite interested in Happy Power. He caught the eye in the Sussex Stakes. He was just caught on that rail when everyone else was quickening. Ran on, nearly got 3rd at the death.
One of so many. How many have we mentioned today already?
Well, absolutely.
Caught on the rail at Goodwood.
Spot on. I mean, he was beaten about a length and 3/4 by 2 Darn Hot. It's a very similar form to Scardu from Ascot, but I mean, Scardu's half the price. So I think Happy Power's going to run a really good race here. Duke of Hazard's in here, Beat Le Bon. I think Beat Le Bon's probably better in a big field handicap kind of situation. This could be a bit more tactical. I think Duke of Hazard's potentially the main danger. He's improving, and he's obviously won quite snugly over course and distance last time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Happy Power will be the one for me, I think, Bully Lad.
Great stuff. Chad?
Yeah, Duke of Hazard's come good, hasn't he, the last 2 times?
Certainly
the
has.
last 2 runs. Paul Carl's probably having his best seasons I can remember in a long time. Worthy favourite in my eyes. Scardu would be my selection, just off the back of that Craven win. The run in the Guineas wasn't the same in the St James's Palace and the Irish 2000, but given a break, And if he runs back to that Craven form, I think he should be better than these.
Yeah, it's a slight step down in grade as well, isn't it?
Yeah, slightly. Just interestingly, Turgenev went off favourite to beat Duke of Hazzard when they ran at Newmarket 2 starts ago, and he's probably about 4 or 5 times the price.
Do you fancy Turgenev? I think
No, I think at the prices, if one's 3 to 1 and one's 14s.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wouldn't put you off at all. Callum?
I think Duke of Hazzard will win this. He's had his troubles, but he's trained by the master that is Paul Cole.
You're obsessed with
Me and Paul Cole go way back.
You love Paul Cole more than Bully loves Scotch eggs.
He does.
That says
He
a
does
lot.
actually. Yeah,
Or Michael
that's a
Dobbs.
stretch.
That says a
Or
lot.
Michael Dobbs. Yeah.
Or Michael Dobbs, yeah.
He had his troubles. He had a foot problem a couple of starts early this year. He's clearly over that now, and he's improving at a rate of knots. He's got course form. Not many of these have that. I think he's only really got Scardu to beat, who hasn't actually won since that Craven run. He's still got a bit to prove. He was given an easy time at Ascot, Duke of Hazzard. Since that, he's improved £10. Whether he can win this and go into Group 1s and be a big player, I'm a bit doubtful of that. But I think he should win this, and then he'll probably run in the races like QE2 and that towards the end of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. No, fantastic. No, I do. Yeah, I agree with you. I like Duke of Hazzard. I also like Beat Le Bon, who's I think possibly been done a bit of an injustice here. I think he's improving leaps and bounds, and won very, very nicely at Goodwood last time out. And the switch to a mile didn't seem to be a hindrance at all.
He didn't, because he won.
Well, no, indeed. But not only did he win, but he hit the ground running, hit the line running, I should say. So I really think if as long as he gets this tactical race doesn't prove too tactical, then he should be able to be there, bang there at the finish. An improving horse that I like. Selection time, obviously Duke of Hazzard for you.
Aye.
Yep. Happy Power. Forgot
Happy
the horse's
Power.
name for a second there.
You're that sweet.
Scardu.
then.
Scardu
returns
at the
to
end for
form.
Chad. I'm going to go with Beat Le Bon. In what looks, as you say, a trappy and competitive little race. There are some other fantastic races on the York card, including the Melrose. Guys, got any thoughts on that?
There are some fantastic races, as you've said, not as fantastic as that new shirt you brought out for the Saturday
He's
preview.
very proud of
Thank
that.
you,
shirt.
yeah.
So the Melrose is the obvious one at York. I'm really quite keen on Kiefer for Eve Johnson-Howen. I think this horse got a proper pot in him. Not sure this is the strongest renewal, and I think this step up in trip is going to work perfectly.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Callum. Big fan of Kiefer. Also, just keep an eye out for Almania. I think this one has got a big pot in him for all. I think this trip may stretch him a tad.
He's named after Kiefer Sutherland of the 24 series.
Kiefer is.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, tremendous. Is that factoid? Chad?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think Kiefer looks like a
Got 3
douster.
Kiefers.
Yeah.
3 Kiefers, can you believe it?
I think with the favourite first in line, looks very quirky. I think he'll either bolt up or he'll flop. It's one of the two. Hopefully he flops because we're all going to back Kiefer, right? But there have only been 2 winning favourites in the past 10 years, and the last 5 prices were 10 to 1, 5 to 1, 16 to 1, 28 to 1, and 16 to 1. So a price does win this race.
Price does win this race. Well, I'm very glad to hear that, because my fancy in the race is, forgive the pronunciation, Starskeski. I don't know, Starskuski, whatever you want to say. He's right at the bottom of the weights. Holly Doyle gets on very well with this horse. He won incredibly nicely at Chelmsford last time. Really appreciated the step up to 1 mile 6 furlongs that day. It was in a lower grade than this, but it was still quite a competitive little race, and I do think if he comes on again, which he should, because he's unexposed at this trip, I can see him going very well.
You've had your Weetabix this week.
I have, yes, I do. I do. And also, I think Holly Doyle gets the best out of her horses. She's a very good young jockey. And at a very decent price, I can see Starskeski going close. Very odd name, really, but tried my best with that one. Right, moving on to
It's been a long week, isn't
best bets, guys. On your best bets of the day on what is a really competitive race, day of racing. Chad, over to you first.
In the 410, the Julia Gray Stakes, we've mentioned...
No, we haven't covered that.
No, we've mentioned Kevin Ryan's 2-year-olds, but I think this is his best one. Treble. Beat Cobra Eye at Haydock in a maiden. Just looked a machine to me, and gone listed class. I think it's a winnable race. I really do. So that would be, for me, would be a horse I'd be backing.
Quite a nice name for a horse, that, isn't it? Treble.
Yeah. I have nothing more to say.
No,
yeah,
I
a
think
fantastic name.
It's a
for
bit like
horse.
Rebel, wasn't it? David Bowie song, but it's with the T on it. Jack?
Raheem House and the Ebor for me.
Great, short and sweet.
Speaking colours and Duke of Hazzard double.
Wow, a double. I like it, yeah.
Balls out.
And I will be going with Beat Le Bon, who I think has got a fan. I can't wait for it to win, and then you'll be so upset. But no, that's the end of our preview and the end of our York previews. I hope you all enjoyed them, and best of luck for Saturday.